came back from Chicago, our center in Chicago, like a few days ago. Okay, we have a grand event exhibiting the Buddha's relics, and also so many people came for the events, for the venerations and for the blessings. Okay, so here is, can you see my screen here? Okay, this is where we display the relics at the events in Chinatown, Chicago, okay, 2 weekends ago. So you can see that in front of the Buddha statue, there are, can I use the pointer? Okay. Can you see like there are 5 relic stupas in front of the Buddha statue? Yeah, so these 5 relic stupas actually enshrining the sacred relics from the Sakyamuni Buddhas and the other 4 great disciples of the Buddha. Okay, so why the relics are so important and so special? Okay, I will talk about this later on. Okay, and so this is a 2 days events, very grand events, open to the public. It's a collaborations with the Chamber of Commerce in Chinatown, Chicago. So we also invited the Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi, okay, to be our honor guest, okay, for the events. So we have like many monastics from different traditions in the Midwest joining the events, giving the blessings. So this is a very rare, very auspicious events in the Midwest. So we do not have much opportunity like this in the Midwest. Compared to other regions in United States, this is truly rare. Okay, so many people put in effort to make this a success. Okay, we also have 2 ladies, friends from Malaysia that are helping at the events too. Okay, so and we receive very warm and positive feedback from the public, from our Buddhist friends. Okay, after the events. And so right after that, the temples, the Vietnamese temple, also in Chicago area, okay, invited the relics to their temples for 3 days retreat. Okay, so after that retreat ends, because at their temple this is different. It's only focused, dedicated to the Vietnamese Buddhist community. So they have like over 1,000 people come to their temple to pay respect to the relics during the 3 days event, the retreat at their temple. So something special that they did is, can you see a lot of flowers in front of the relics? Yeah, this is how they pay respect to the relics. Instead of the traditional way offering the incense, fruits, okay, they offer the flowers in front of the Buddha's relics, and then they have like chanting, dhamma, sharing, meditations together with the relics. This is how they cultivate their merits, their wisdoms, and practice together. Because in the Buddhist traditions, okay, let me introduce a bit about the relics. Okay, so altogether there are 5 relics that we are invited. These relics originally was enshrined at Triple Wisdom Hall. Is the home monastery where our abbot Master Jules from. Okay, so Triple Wisdom Hall was founded by Venerable Master Zumo. Venerable Master Zumo was the great master from China that established the Chinese Mahayana in Malaysia. And Venerable Zumo, actually was the disciples of Master Taishi. For those who know about Master Taishi is considered one of the foremost reformist master Buddhist monks in the history of Chinese Buddhism, contemporary Chinese Buddhism. So Venerable Taishi was not only limited to the Chinese tradition. he travels to different countries. He makes friends with different traditions. Okay, so he was really recognized, highly respected monks. So when Master Taishi passed away, okay, so his disciple built several stupas to enshrine his relics, to commemorate his virtues, contributions. So in his stupa, in the stupa where his relics was enshrined, okay, this is the stupa. Also others, great disciples, relics of other great disciples. For example, the Sakyamuni's Buddhas, the Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Moggallana, Venerable Ananta, Venerable Bakula, and few others, including some of the Chinese masters. Okay, so this time, because of the request from the Chamber of Commerce in Chinatown, Chicago, so our master Jiru, requests to invite only 5 of these sacred relics, okay, for the exhibition in United States. And in fact, before these events at Triple Wisdom Hall, the master, they keep this quite low profile because they seldom promote the relics. Okay, relics has its own very unique power or unique energy. Okay, but this is not the main point that we want to sell. You can see that in the Buddhist circle, some of the very famous Buddhist temple, they're famous because of what? Because there is a special relics in their temple. It calls a lot of attention, a big crowd of tourists. Every day, a lot of tourists coming to pay respect, to make wishes, to worship in order what? So that their wishes can become true. So they come to make wishes, okay? But this is not the original purpose. Even though relics might have its own unique energy and power, but this is never the original purpose for the Buddhists like us, okay? So when I was in Malaysia in June, okay, when Master about to bring back the relics, actually not many monastics in the temple know about this. Only a few that close to the abbot know about the events that we are going to help here. Otherwise, the abbot in Triple Wisdom Hall never make this a big news. Okay, this is how the masters, okay, while they protect these sacred objects, they also protect the practice and focus on the Dharma. Okay, so I would like to take this opportunity, okay, to introduce. Maybe some of you are very new about this. Okay, so what is relics? Okay, it is a sacred object, but what are they? Okay, first, they're actually the physical remains of the fully enlightened ones, okay, or the great Arahant disciples after cremation. Cremation is the traditional way of handling the body according to the ancient Indian traditions, okay. So after cremations, they will find these very particular, those germ-like objects, beads, okay, those are the relics. This is what they collect, the relics. And these relics becomes the sacred object where they will carefully, meticulously keep in a stupa, okay, and it becomes the object of worship, becomes the object where we cultivate faith, the object where we practice. So for examples, a Buddhist, okay, like Buddhists who truly know the meaning of these sacred objects, we should make the opportunities, take them to be like the object of contemplations. For example, how many of you been to India, pilgrimage, or those special temples, historical sites? Yeah, great. What we do as a Buddhist, we offer flowers, incense, lentils, okay, pay respects, circumambulate, okay, there's also another way of paying respects, chanting, recollecting the Buddha's virtues, reciting the sutras, meditation. Okay, all these are the methods that we can help to collect our mind energy, our contemplations, relates to those noble ones. Remember their virtues, remember their wisdoms, so that we can cultivate and then to walk on the path that they show us. This is the purpose. But of course, there are other bonuses. What are the bonuses? Because the Buddhas and all these great disciples, they also, while they're alive, when they are still alive in the human world like this, okay, they also make these great vows, okay, aspirations, okay, saying that they will do their best, okay, so that all those who come to them, they will receive the protections, okay, they will receive the blessings. With the protections and blessings, it's easier for us to practice with less obstacles, less mental obstacles. So relics also symbolizing the Buddha's great compassion, wisdoms, and virtues. Since the living body is of the Buddha no longer in the world, but relics representing the Buddha, showing the continued existence of the Buddha in this world. Okay, so it is very rare for us now. We don't have the fortune, we don't have the merit to live in the Buddha's life, but at least we still have the opportunity to witness, to pay respect to the relics. So seeing the relics as if like we are seeing the Buddha. That's why venerations to the pay respect to the relics is such a rare and such an auspicious things that we can do as a Buddhist. Okay. Besides that, this relic is considered possess very supreme power. Okay. According to my experience, when we have this tour visiting these Buddhist temples or Buddhist sites, it's a different energy field when you arrive at the site, right? It's very different. It's very different from when you meditate in your own room, okay? It just like immediately give you a sense of serenity, a very unique feelings, okay? Help your mind able to collect and concentrate, and you feel very humble, sincere, okay, peace easily. This is how people make use of this energy field and practice at the site, okay? And some people share with us afterwards saying that, actually not everybody go visited the site with this kind of pure intention. Some, they went because of what? Health issue, family problems, financial problems. Some because of cancer, okay, so they would like to cultivate marriage to solve the problem. All kinds of personal purposes when they visited these places. And some will say afterwards, oh, I feel much better. Great spirit, okay, problem solved after that. And some said that, oh, I have been trapped in this kind of mental problems, okay, and I couldn't make progress. But after the visit and after I went back home after that, everything becomes so smooth, okay? Things progress much easier. So from time to time, we heard this kind of, we call testimony, okay? You might not have to believe, but these are the cases. These are the personal experience that people have, okay? The important is, I would say, depends on individual sincerity, your pure heart, okay? Your pure faith and intention, okay? In order to receive those, I would say, maximize benefits at this kind of occasion, you really, really have to be very humble, very sincere, with no other agenda behind it. Just very pure mind, okay? That's why we said that the relics or the sacred objects, they are also the merits of offerings and worship. Just like what the Buddha said. Okay, I need to go back to the previous slides. This is what the Buddha said. worshipping the relics, enshrining relics in the stupa. All this because of what? Because this is according to the Buddha instructions. When Buddha announced he was going to enter Nibbana, so his attendant, Venerable Ananta, consulted the Buddha how we should handle the Tathagata's body. So the Buddha said that, well, build a mount, okay, to enshrine the Tathagata's relics at a great four-way intersections. What does this mean, intersections? Means at a place where everybody can see it, can come and pay respect. Okay, so that everybody got the chance to get close to the Buddha. Okay, and for those who offer garlands, means flowers, incense, perfumes, bowing down, brighten their minds there, means practicing, they will gain long-term welfare and happiness. This is the great benefits, okay, by doing such worship or actions of venerations. Okay, now let's move on. Well, after the retreats at the Vietnamese temple, we don't know how, there were rumors spread out saying that the next exhibition will be at MABA. And in fact, we never planned for that before the rumors spread out. And since we heard these rumors spreading out, then people come and ask us. So Master decided, okay, let the people, the community at MABA also have the chance, okay, to pay respect, to venerate and receive the blessings from the relics. So we set the dates, November 21st, 22nd, the weekends, where we have the Katina. It will be the weekend we would exhibit the relics here at MABA. And it will be a great opportunity for everyone to come here, okay, practice together, worship together, and then receive the blessing together. So it's going to be a very auspicious day, weekend at MABA, and we hope that all of you will be delighted to join us at that time, okay? And from now on, we still have about 3 months, okay? Now it's August. Yeah, I think about 3 months, 4 months, okay, before the relics come. In order to help you to be prepared, okay, to understand better why we have to venerate, paying homage to the relics. So started this week, Sunday, we are going to introduce the Buddhas, the great disciples of the Buddhas during our Sunday morning, and also the discussion after the lunch. Okay, so today I would like to take the opportunity, okay, to introduce the stories of Venerable Sariputta. Okay, a quick question. How many of you already heard Venerable Sariputta? Raise your hands. Very good. Okay. So what I have to do here is just repeat the stories, okay? And then together we recollect the virtues, the life, and the practice of Venerable Sariputta, okay? If I miss something, raise your hands and correct me, okay? Maybe you know some other details that I have missed, okay? So first, okay, I would like to show this Sanchi Stupa, okay? Sanchi Stupa in India is a very famous, okay, stupa and excavation site in India. And actually this is where they found the relics of Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana, okay. And Sanchi actually located somewhere in the highland, okay, far away from the political and economical center in India. That's why when India in the past few thousand years experienced the political upheaval, wars, fights, disputes, many artifacts, sites being destroyed, the Buddha statue destroyed, temple destroyed, Sanchi Stupa remained quite intact and well protected because it is far from those center of wars and fighting. Okay. I had the chance to visit Sanchi, okay, a few years ago with the Malaysian friends, and indeed it was a very, very nice, very unique place, okay. And now let's come back to here. Who is, I think almost all Buddhists know about Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana. They are the Buddha's excellent pairs of chief disciples. Sariputta is considered the right-hand disciples of the Buddha, and Moggallana is the left-hand chief disciple of the Buddha. Okay. So Venerable Sariputta was born to a prestigious, wealthy Brahmin family in a village called Upatissa, and his mother was Rupasari. Okay. So actually, before he became a Buddha's disciples, people call him Upatissa. That is the name of the village. And he gained the name Sariputta because Sariputta means the son of Sari. Sari is his mother's name. And actually, his mother is very beautiful, very wise, smart, okay, and also very compassionate. I think he inherits the good qualities from his mother too, okay? And the same day when Upatissa was born, another boy was born in the neighboring village. There is the Kolita village, okay? And that boy was named Kolita, and later, actually, he was also the best friend of Sariputta, okay? So Upatissa and this boy called Kolita, they grow up together, educate together, well-raised, well-educated, and it was said that both of them are very brilliant, powerful, great leaders among their youth, okay? And they master all the sciences that they have learned at that time in India. So at young age, when they were still a youth leader, they already had like 250 or over 250 followers, students learning from them. So one day, there was a time where they had the festival. On the third day of festival, suppose everybody was enjoying, and somehow at the sudden moment, the Upatissa just feel like, oh, all this just so meaningless, no meaning at all. What are we doing here? Okay, he found that nothing in the world has the meaning, so he decided to renounce. So when he expressed this thought to his best friend at that time, Kolita also felt the same way. That's why both of them going for renounce at the same time. So their first teacher actually was Sanjaya at that time. Okay, but they learned and mastered all the skill from the teacher Sanjaya in a very short time and found that this is not the way out, not the way to liberation. So they traveled throughout the whole India looking for the teachers. Finally, they come back to the town called Rajagaha. So what this means, they are well trained. They have learned from all the teachers that they have met before they finally met the Sakyamuni Buddha, okay, the Tathagata. Until one day, when Sariputta, walking on the street, and he met this elder Asaji. Asaji is one of the first five disciples who enlightened and become the arahants after the Buddha enlightened. Okay, and he was so impressed by his serene appearance, dignified appearance. So he waited until the elder Asaji finished his meal and then approached him and asked, "Who is your teacher? Because you look so different from the rest. I'm just so impressed by your dignified appearance. Okay, what did your teacher teach?" What the elder Asaji said later on changed his life totally. Okay, so the elder Asaji said something simple. He said, what my teacher taught is of those things that arise from a cause. The Tathagata has told the cause, and also what their cessation is. This is the doctrine of the great recluse. According to the scriptures, when Sariputta heard the first two sentences, immediately he saw the path to the Dharma. And after listening to the next 2 verses, he immediately enter the stream, means enter the noble path. Okay, I finished reciting the verses. How many of you enlightened? You can tell how smart, how sharp his mind is, Upatissa, the later Sariputta. Okay, and he was just so excited, his mind is just filled up with this delight and joy and relief. He immediately feel like, I want to inform my best friend. So he told Elder Asaji, please, you don't have to explain more. Just tell me where the teacher is. I'm going to invite my best friends and we'll go and pay respect to the Buddha all together, okay? This is how his life changed. And in fact, after Upatissa invited Kolita, before they went to meet the Buddha together, he actually went back to meet his teacher, Sanjaya, and said that, now we found the path. Teacher, please come together. We found the fully enlightened one. But Sanjaya refused. Okay? Yeah, there is a big regret. Okay, cut the story short. So after Venerable Sariputta repeat the stanzas, these stanzas, the verses to Moggallana also entered the stream, okay, on that spot. So two of them immediately go and pay respect and request to going for under the Buddha. Okay, and that is how they joined the monkhood. And however, Sariputta did not attain become Arahant immediately after meeting the Buddha, after listening to the Buddha's first few teachings. Okay, when it was like 2 weeks after, okay, when Sariputta was standing behind the Buddha, fanning him and listening to the Buddha's the ascetic called Dikkanaka, okay. So Sariputta's mind was very casual, ordinary, very attentive to the Buddha's teaching while fanning the Buddha. It was at that spot that he enlightened, finally, and attained the arahantship. Okay, this is how it occurs. So here I would like to remind everybody. I would like to share this with everybody, just like my teacher reminded me. Many of you come to meditate. Maybe you come with a strong determination, strong desire, saying that I want to attain peace. I want to attain this calmness, serenity. Okay? When you come with such a strong desires, strong expectations, in fact, the desires, expectation, you pull you further away from the goal. You can see from the history, from the records. Most of these great disciples of the Buddha, they learn the teachings, they master the skill. But the moment they attain the fully enlightened state is when they have the least expectation, when their mind is the most ordinary state. You see, Sariputta, fanning, okay? No expectation, not in the sitting posture. Venerable Ananda, when was Venerable Ananda? It was about, he has this strong desire, wanted to attain, okay, arahantship. But he was too tired, he couldn't do that. So he said, let's go for a rest. The moment he lying down, before he lie down, not in sitting, not in lying, the moment that process, that is the moment where he enlightened, right? Fully enlightened, become arahant. There are many cases like this. Some attain the enlightenment when the glass broke in front of him. Some saw the fire flame flickering. That is the moment. Okay? There are too many cases like this. So we come here and practice, come to Buddhism. We learn with a sincere, with a pure mind. But when we come to the practice, all we need to do is what? Mindful, okay, with a very ordinary mind, not with the strong expectation or desire. In fact, desire, self-ego desire is the biggest obstacles. Okay, so let me continue. Okay, So the same evening, the Buddha gathered all the assembly and then make the announcement announce that these two elders, Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, are the two chief disciples. You think this is very simple, right? Make the announcement and everybody accept it. Well, actually not. There are people in the Sangha that disagree. Why? Because they were not the elders. They were not the most seniors. Before two of them joined the Sangha, there were other seniors, other arhants in the Sangha already. Okay? Like the 5 great disciples, the first 5 disciples still in the Sangha. There are other well-known leaders, monks leaders like Yasa, others. They all qualified to be the chief disciples, but why only these 2 particular young men, young monks, that can be the chief disciples of the Buddha? We keep the story for later, okay? We still have time for discussion, okay? So, this is how Venerable Sariputta become the Buddha's right-hand disciples, and Moggallana is the right-hand disciples. Sariputta is distinguished by his excellence of wisdom, okay? And Venerable Moggallana is by his foremost in the spiritual power, the psychic power. So since then, okay, for the remaining 40 plus years in his life, Sariputta remains the Buddha's disciples, helping the Buddhas to consolidate, spreading the Dharmas, okay, guiding countless of people's towards liberations. He himself also became a model for many other monks, helping to guide them, supervising their trainings. Also assisting the Buddha in administrating and guiding the Sangha. So all these are not easy tasks. It's a great burden. Because in the Sangha, we have monks, okay, novices from different backgrounds. Can you imagine in India? India is what? Strict in the 4 castes, right? You can imagine when the prince, queens, princesses come into the Sangha and then live together with those also as a beggar, okay, low caste. When everybody come and join the Sangha, everybody receive the same treatment, okay, same lifestyle. This poses a great challenge. Not to mention our society nowadays. Our society is what? We call ourselves free, democratic, liberal, right? Everybody have freedom. But back then, no. Before they join the Sangha, they have the strict rules that they have to obey. Family's rules, social norms, okay? So it's not easy to run a Sangha. So Venerable Sariputta, Moggallana has been a great help to the Buddhas. So they received the endorsement from the Buddha. The Buddha said that keep company with them, means with the Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana. Sariputta is like the mother who brings forth, and Moggallana is like a nurse to the newborn child. Okay, so both of them will train their students in the fruition of stream entry, okay, enter the noble path, and Moggallana, you make sure that they attain the highest goal. And in another sutras, it says that Sariputta is like the biological mother of the Sangha, and Moggallana is like the foster mother of the Sangha. Okay, this is how they were being praised. So here I would like to give a few examples how they handle this. Okay, there was a commotion that happened at a place called Khatuma. So one time, Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana newly ordained like 250 monks, new monks, okay, and they wanted to pay respect to the Buddha. And Buddha at that time resided at Khatuma, a place called Khatuma. And Venerable Ananda were there too. So when they arrived, they have these warm greetings with the resident monks, so making a big noise, okay. So the Buddha in his room saying that, oh, hearing this, oh, who making this colossal racket, okay, a big noise, and send Ananda out, check what happened. So Ananda come back saying that, Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana brought this big group of disciples, wanted to pay respect to the Buddha. And then the Buddha said, what a big noise. Okay, ask them to go away. I dismiss them. So Ananda went out and sent them away. And after a short while, the Buddha, sent Ananda again. Go, Sariputta and Moggallana come back. So this is how the conversation goes. The Buddha asked, do you know why I dismiss your group? So the Sariputta said that because the Buddha prefers quiet and ease, and doesn't like noise. Well, the Buddha said, no, this is not my intention. So the Buddha turned to Moggallana. Moggallana, what do you think? Why do you think I dismiss the group? Then Moggallana said that the Buddha prefers ease, quiet, serenity, and the Buddha expects his chief disciple will help to manage the new disciples. Then the Buddha said, yes. So now you can see that how the Buddha have this kind of expectation on their responsibility. While the Buddha is not available, the chief disciples will help to manage the orders and the harmony in the Sangha. So this record in this sutra. And second, there is a rule that pertaining to Venerable Sariputta, because Venerable Sariputta is very attentive, very caring. He actually was the last one that went for alms in the morning, because when all other monks left the monastery, he walk around and check, pick up the trash, put back the chair, make sure everything is organized, and then check on the sick one, check on those who are too ill, and before he left. So one time when this whole group wanted to travel to another place, Sariputta was the last one. By the time he arrived at the destination, the Buddha already started preaching. So all these young monks are so eager to come close to the Buddha. So the front was filled up. Sariputta was sit far at the back. So the Buddha noticed Sariputta at the back, and then he know the reason why. This is how the Buddha set the rules, saying that from now on, in the Sangha, we reserve the seats according to seniority, not according to the age. Those who come to the Sangha first, they are the most senior. So they will this is how we organize the seat, receiving the offerings according to the seniority. This is one of the rules that related to Venerable Sariputta. And Sariputta all this time show his great humility, patience, and gratitude. Since he joined the Sangha, he always remember that the elder Asanji is his first teacher. Without the elder Asanji, he would never know about the Buddhas and the Buddha's teaching. So since then, even though he later became like the chief disciples or very well-known disciples, he always paid respect to Elder Asanji. Whenever the Elder Asanji lived in the same temple, every morning he would go and pay respect to Elder Asanji. When he travels to other places, in the morning he would pay respect to the directions where the Elder Asanji is. So when they live together, he will check and make sure that he received the proper material support. You will see these kind of examples a lot in the sutras, in the scriptures. But there are other things. Sangha is not always in harmony. There are problems too. Have you heard about the Devadatta's spirit of the Sangha? Devadatta is Buddha's cousins. Very brilliant, very diligent, very smart, very eloquent in teaching. But he has this very selfish intention. He wants to be the leader. He even told the Buddha, saying, "Hey, Buddha, it's time for you to retire. You are old. Let me take over the leadership." The Buddha said no. The Buddha scolded him. So later on, he decided, brought a big group, Sangha, a new monks from the Sangha to form his own organizations. Okay, he listed these 5 dhammas, saying that if you live according to these 5 dhammas, then you can attain the enlightenment faster. So when Devadatta create this big division in the Sangha and then left, then Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana followed them. When they followed them, he did not openly have these debates with Devadatta. Devadatta thought, oh, these 2 great disciples also agree with me, so he welcomed 2 of them very warmly. But at night time, when everybody went to rest, then Sariputta and Moggallana quietly gathered all these monks and give them teaching. This is how finally he able to convince them to go back to the Sangha under the Buddha. Okay, this is how Sariputta and Moggallana, with their wisdom and skillful means, protect the unity in the Sangha, but not always successful. There was another time, a group of monks in Kitagiri, making a big noise. All these are young monks. They did not follow the rules. They eat in the evening, dance with the girls, making all the noise, so create a big problem in the society. Sariputta again went. No matter how he convinced them, how he tried to abolish them, he failed. And finally, they have to openly announce banishments, means they do not belong to the Sangha. These kind of things happens, And there are a lot more that I would like to share. For example, the teachings of Sariputta, not only in the early teachings, but also in the Mahayana teachings, For example, for those who chant the Heart Sutra, who is the main audience in the Heart Sutra? Sariputta, Foremost in the wisdom of emptiness. I will skip this, And I also skip these stories. If you like, we can sit down and share the stories later on. But here I want to mention a bit about Sariputta in the Mahayana teachings. Because they are quite often in the Mahayana Sutra saying that Sariputta entered the meditative states called lion spring. What is this lion spring? Means he is very swift, very quick, fast, powerful in entering the meditative states, So this is how later on, can you see Sariputta as the right-hand disciples of the Buddha, foremost in wisdom, and his teaching is considered like the lion roars in the jungle, tame all the noises and all the chaos in the world, and his meditation power is like the lion spring, And later on, we have a very important bodhisattva called Manjusri Bodhisattva in the Mahayana teachings. Manjusri, who is Manjusri? The principal attendants to the Vairochana Buddhas, supreme in the wisdom, riding on the lions. So all these features actually resembling Sariputta. So you can see that actually the image, the virtues of Sariputta continues to be manifested in the Mahayana teachings, But because of the time, I will just stop here, But through listening, contemplating on our great disciples' stories, efforts, and virtues, we hope that we take them as the examples in our practice, So with the practice, we are able to tame, just like the lion tame all the noises, we tame all the defilements inside us, So that our mind will not be degenerated, so that our mind will continue to improve, to purify, So with that, I invite all of you, let us make this dedication, Contemplating on the Dharma, listening on the Dharma, creates a lot of merits and joins to us with the merits and that we cultivated just now, let us make this dedication. May our mind will not degenerate. We will not blur out no bad words. We will remain full of sympathy, with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that individual. And with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading a heart full of love to everyone in the world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. Thank you for your attention. Okay, and we may continue our discussion and sharing at the Buddha Lotus house later after the chanting. Okay, thank you very much.